Hello, family. I hope you had a truly Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Perhaps you are thinking of the new beginnings that will happen this year, or maybe you're just making a commitment to see beauty in the world more. Whatever you're doing, I hope that it has been a good New Year. We are getting back to our schedule after taking a few Sundays off like we normally do when we meet in person. We are having a slightly lower key week this week. I closed on a house and moved. And so instead of having bags, there is an activity that can be downloaded and printed or just read on your phone and done. It's a simple activity. The first thing is something we've done before, and I think it's so important that we actually repeat it. It is telling and retelling the story of our baptism. So I want you to go to your parents and ask them about the day you were baptized. Where was it? Who was there? What happened? And get the story of your baptism. Then go and get a bowl of water, and then take your finger and dip it in the water, and then on the forehead of another person in your family, make the sign of a cross, much like probably happened at your baptism. You will say to the person, "Remember your baptism," and the other person will say something they want to remember about their own baptism. And then do that for each person in the family so that you can tell and retell and remember what it was like at that moment when we welcomed you into the family of God in baptism. Next week, we will begin again with the bags as normal, and we will ramp up to our normal schedule. So now I'm going to explain the kids in worship curriculum. If you already know it, skip ahead in the video. Don't watch it again. Thanks, guys. The Kids in Worship curriculum is a special kind of curriculum that uses multi-sensory materials to get all of our senses involved in hearing the stories of the Bible. And it uses all of those things to have a form of liturgy that follows the fourfold pattern of liturgy that we will experience for the rest of our lives. It is our hope that kids then feel and sense it, that liturgy, when they're with adults and with others for years to come. So it begins first with preparing for worship. We do that by taking deep breaths and then greeting one another. After greeting one another, we sing songs to center ourselves as we go in to hear the sacred stories of God. Once we've heard those sacred stories through multisensory materials, thanks to people like Mark Madison, then we respond to the story. Today, you might respond by doing a special ritual to remember your baptism after hearing the story of Jesus' baptism. After responding to the story, then there's a time of thanksgiving. You say what you're thankful for in the world, thankful for in the story. And after saying thank you in prayer, then there's a benediction, a blessing to wish you well as you go out into the world, so that we move from that sacred time into the time where we take God with us into the rest of our lives and into the spaces that are outside of this sacred space. Therefore, taking God and all that is sacred with us into the world. So I hope that you will join us in the worship center as you slow your body, turn off your devices, quiet your being, and listen for what God is saying to you today. Welcome to the worship center. As you can see, we've changed the color from before Christmas, because at the special feasts and times of celebration for Christmas, as well as Jesus' baptism that we are celebrating today, the special regal color of white comes out. So join us as we worship. Can you take some deep breaths with me to slow your body down? Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. The worship center here is a special place to be with God. In this special place, we don't need to hurry because we have all the time that we need. We can walk more slowly. We can talk softly because somebody might be talking to God and we don't want to disturb them. This is a special place to be with God. And in this space, we want everyone to know that they are welcome here and God's with them. So we greet them. I will say, "The Lord be with you," and you will say, "And also with you." Let's try it. The Lord be with you, and also with you. Good. Now that we've greeted one another, we get to sing songs to center our minds and slow our bodies. There are 2 different songs we sing in the worship space. The first song that we sing is "Oh God, I Adore You." Can you sing it with me? Oh God, I adore you. Lay my life before you. How I love you. Jesus, I adore you. Lay my life before you. How I love you. Spirit, I adore you. Lay my life before you. How I love you. Good. Another song that we sing is "Be Still and Know." This one we sing a little bit slower to try and slow our body down as we hear the sacred story after this. So, you might take your hands and put them in your lap to slow you down. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Good. Now that we have prepared our hearts and our minds and slowed our bodies down, we will listen to the sacred story from the Bible. Listen for what God might be saying to you. This is the desert box. We haven't seen it in a few weeks. Inside of it is a small piece of the desert. So many important things happen in the desert that we need a little bit of it in our classroom. I wish you were here with me so you could put your hands in the sand. The desert is a strange and wild place. At night, it's very cold, but in the day, it's hot. And there is almost no water at all. The desert is always changing. The wind comes and it blows and it shapes and it molds the dunes. So the desert is never the same. John the Baptist lived in the desert. He lived near the Jordan River, and the people came out to the Jordan River to be baptized by John. The people came to hear John. Here's another person who came to hear John next to the Jordan River. John said, to the people, "Get ready. God is sending someone special. The special Son of God is coming." But they did not know how to get ready. So John said to them, "Change the way you live. Do the 10 best ways to live, and I will baptize you with water in the Jordan River. You will be clean and new again." And John took the people through the water. John took the people through the water and baptized them. John took the woman through the water and baptized her. John took this little one through the water and baptized him. Then, one day, Jesus came to John, who was by the Jordan River, and said, "Baptize me too." So they, John and Jesus, went through the river, and John baptized Jesus too. Then the heavens above opened, and the Spirit of God came to Jesus. And the voice of God said, "This is my Son." I wonder how the people felt when John told them to change the way they live and get ready for the special Son of God. I wonder if it was hard for them to change the way they lived. I wonder how they felt when they went through the water of baptism and went to be baptized. I wonder how they felt when they came out of the water. I wonder if it was hard to wait for Jesus, the special Son of God. I wonder if they felt ready to be near the special Son of God. I wonder how you and I get ready to be near the special Son of God. Now is a time to respond to this story. You could respond by going to the craft area of your home and making something that reminds you of how you feel about the story of Jesus' baptism. You could also do the activity I mentioned in the introduction, where you go and ask your parents the story of your own baptism. And then you have a small ritual to ask, what do you want to remember about your baptism? So I encourage you to pause the video and go off and do something in order to respond to the story that you've just heard. Now that you've responded to the story, it's time for us to light the Christ candle, to remind us that in this place and at this time, Christ is with us as we hear the story of God. Today's story is found in the Bible, and we're going to read it together. It is in Mark chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. I have a marker here. When you come back to church, you can find it in the Bible too. In those days, Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. And just as he was coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens torn apart and the Spirit descending like a dove on him. And a voice came from heaven. You are my Son, my beloved. With you I am well pleased. Now that we've heard that sacred story, we have a time of thanksgiving. You can say thanks for something in the story. You could say thanks for something in your home or in the world. You can say it out loud to someone next to you right now. Another way we can say thank you is to God in prayer. I pray, but you don't have to, by closing my eyes. Dear God, thank you for baptism and the reminder that I and all of us are part of God's family. Thank you for my parents who wanted me to know this and worked with me for baptism. I ask all of this in your name. Amen. Now that we have heard the story, we remind ourselves that God is not only present with us right now, but God is everywhere. And we do that by changing the light. The light right now is in one place at one time. I'm going to change the light now. Watch. Now, the light is in many places, in many times, and God is with you where you are right now. So now, I'm going to wish that you go from this sacred space into the world with a blessing. So, warm up your benediction hands. Hold them out to me. Now, may God go with you into the world. Go in peace. Amen.